Hello, and welcome to our lesson on developing a worldwide sourcing program. In this segment, we will continue discussing evaluating cost associated with international purchasing. Companies use various measures to address the risk associated with currency fluctuations, ranging from basic measures to the sophisticated management of international currencies involving the corporate finance department. Buyers who prefer to pay for international purchases in US dollars attempt to eliminate currency fluctuations as a source of risk by shifting the risk to the seller. Although this appears to be an easy risk management method, it is not always the best or most feasible approach. The offshore supplier, which is also aware of currency risks, may prefer to accept the risk of currency fluctuations. Also, many offshore suppliers anticipate exchange rate fluctuations by incorporating a risk factor into their prices. A purchaser willing to take some currency risks may obtain a more favorable price. Equal sharing of risk permits a selling firm to price its product without having to factor in the acceptance of risk costs. Sharing of risk requires equal division of a change in an agreed-upon price because of currency fluctuation. In the Canadian machine example, the U.S. firm realized over $11,000 in additional costs because of currency fluctuations. With equal risk sharing, the Canadian and U.S. firms would evenly divide the additional cost. This technique works best on items that have a set delivery date, such as capital equipment. With currency adjustment clauses, both parties agree that payment occurs as long as exchange rates do not fluctuate outside an agreed-upon range or band. Purchase contracts often contain one of two types of currency adjustment clauses: delivery-triggered clauses and time-triggered clauses. Delivery-triggered clauses stipulate that the parties will review an exchange before delivery to verify that the rate is still within the agreed-upon range. If the rate falls outside the range, the buyer or seller can ask to renegotiate the contract price. Time-triggered clauses stipulate that both parties will review a contract at specified time intervals to evaluate the impact of fluctuating exchange rates. The parties review the exchange rate at scheduled intervals, and a new contract is established if the rate falls outside the agreed-upon range. Hedging involves the simultaneous purchase and sale of currency contracts in two markets. The expected result is that a gain realized on one contract will be offset by a loss on the other. Hedging is a form of risk insurance that can protect both parties from currency fluctuations. The motivation for using hedging is risk aversion, not monetary gain. If the purpose of buying currency contracts is to realize a net gain, then the purchaser is speculating and not hedging. Buyers and sellers trade futures exchange contracts, also referred to as futures contracts, on commodity exchanges open to anyone needing to hedge or with speculative risk capital. In fact, the exchanges encourage speculation because speculators help create markets for buyers and sellers of futures contracts. Futures traders sell futures contracts in fixed currency amounts with fixed contract lengths. Options to buy or sell a currency at a certain exchange rate are also available to buyers. Options may be used to lock in favorable rates during negotiations or anytime a purchaser is anticipating the purchase of an item from a specific country. The buyer pays a small premium to have the right to buy the currency at a later date. Companies with extensive international experience usually have a finance or treasury department that can support international currency requirements. Finance can identify the currency a firm should use for payment based on projections of currency fluctuations. The finance department can also provide advice about hedging and currency forecasts, and whether to seek a new contract or renegotiate an existing one because of currency changes. It can also act as a clearinghouse for offshore currencies to make payments for offshore purchases. Purchasing managers should track the movement of currencies against the dollar over time to identify longer-term changes and sourcing opportunities because of changing economics. The dollar has strengthened moderated to the euro over the 2008-2013 period, making imports from Europe relatively attractive. Part of this could be attributed to the financial crisis in Greece and the weak economies of Italy, Portugal, and Spain. In any event, the more volatility experienced by a currency, the more purchasers need to build in currency adjustment clauses or take actions to hedge against currency fluctuation risks. This is the end of this segment of our lesson. In the next segment, we shall discuss moving to a global sourcing philosophy. This course is presented to you by South Europe College. Thank you for listening, and see you on our next segment.